What is going on, everyone? My name is Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the blue color, playing as Odin. I forgot what blue was for a second there. His name is Nullus. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Zeus. His name is Joe. The map is, what is the map? The map is Savannah. And we find a whole bunch of hunt here. Yes, I love high hunt Savannah. This is my favorite type of Savannah. My least favorite type of Savannah is low hunt Savannah. And yeah. Savannah is one of those maps which can spawn like, how much hunt is it? 8 times 300 food of worth of giraffe. Or it can spawn like just one pack of zebra. And you can be like, what? Why is it so different all the time? Ah! We'll see what's going to happen here as the game continues along. Nullus here, playing as Odin. Odin versus Zeus can be a little bit challenging for the Odin player because you have a lot of concerns you have to be thinking about. However, Nullus in this position, he's got himself a great tower. He's got himself a great forest here. This tower, he probably would have preferred it to be placed up on this position, but unfortunately was not possible. You know, something I think would be an interesting way to fix the map spawn of the towers would be to have a god power that is unlocked for everyone. You have to use it within the first 30 seconds or so. And then the god powers get wiped and then you receive your own god power. Or basically once you click the button, you receive your god power. Maybe that's the way to do it. And that special god power would create 4 sentry towers for you to be placed on the map, and you could rotate the sentry towers around so that you could position them perfectly to defend your resources. Alternatively, the map could just spawn the towers correctly. Now, the map does actually have the map script does actually have a check in it to try and force a tower close to the gold mine, but that check could put the tower like in a really non-helpful spot. But it is what it is. But we'll see how things are going to go here. As Joe moving out over onto the giraffe here with all of his villagers. What's happening is getting his temple up, takes a villager off of gold. A little bit of a dated build here from Joe. One thing that I've found playing Zeus is that if you aren't using the modern builds, the Norse players are basically, some Norse players, not every Norse player, but the top Norse players, I'm talking like Soup, I'm talking like Yoshi, I'm talking like Rappel, the top Norse players, they are using modern Norse builds. And what does this mean? It means they're getting out more stuff than you would expect them to be getting out earlier. So how do you beat that as Zeus? Well, the answer is, generally speaking, advance faster or understand that they're doing these modern builds, having more stuff earlier, and maybe playing into a little bit of a different idea in the early stages of the game. Things like you could potentially get yourself early husbandry, which might seem absolutely crazy, but what you could do with that is eat all of this hunt, kind of defend it from the initial harassment, and then you'll be able to pull back into your main base and eat these goats, which are going to have a lot more food in them if you get that early husbandry. Crazy ideas, I know. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Just running random theories. But we'll see if Joe's here going to be able to make much happen here. He's gone for a very late Athena. We see the walls coming up already for Nullus. So he's going to be able to defend this position nicely. We see the walls up here as well with the wall segments. I love using these long walls to jump into blocking the tower as well, because it makes everything just look nice. And I love when it looks nice. The one thing is, though, that if you do this, then your opponent can bash down this wall to break this segment, which is what it should do. If I see the way that this should work in my dream world of Age of Mythology is, if I bash this wall down, I should be able to bash this wall down as well and have the buildings share damage. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, and it makes me upset every single time. Okay, anyways, onwards and upwards. We do see the forest fire getting dropped down immediately. I make fun of this because it's a 50 wood damage every single time at the very most, plus the walking time to get over to the other location. But it is what it is. Joe's going to be over here, and he's getting himself his Odysseus. He's already got his archery range down. He's actually not delayed in the slightest with building any of these units. And I think that the later the Greek player advances, the less you want to be clicking that forest fire early. It's my general assumption on this, because we already see double Minotaur out here for Joe. We already see the Toxotes coming out. He's missing a couple of, looks like he's missing a little bit of gold here. I'm not sure what's going on with only 2 villagers on the gold mine there. Does he have pickaxe? He doesn't have pickaxe, so he's not really going to be able to pump those units out all too well. But what Joe can do is get himself a bunch of Minotaurs here to spend that extra food he's gathering. So Nullus is going to be a little bit careful here in this game with dealing with those early Minotaurs. He's only got the 1 Herser out on this position. I don't see him spamming those Herser out at all. He's got 2 Herser in the main base. So a total of 3 Herser to deal with these Minotaurs might seem like enough, but as the army starts massing here for Joe, life's going to get tough for Nullus. So he does retreat away from this hunt here immediately. The ox cart a little bit out of position, going to take a little bit of damage there as it tries to run back home. Nullus could speed walk that ox cart off, but we'll see if it's going to go down. I'm not sure. He might be able to catch up. He might be able to take the ox cart out. It's a lot of damage, 100 resources worth of damage here as the ox cart 39, 50 HP going down, almost dead. There it goes. There's that 100 resources worth of damage as we do see the bolt getting dropped onto that Valkyrie over there. So Nullus is hurt here. He probably, in all honesty, if he'd spent his resources a little bit better, you can see he's got in his bank nearly 600 resources, which at 6 minutes into the game, 7 minutes into the game, that's not what you want. You want to be spending everything on military to gain access to this hunt. If he'd spent all of his resources, he'd probably be at like 75 population here, or something close to that. And then he would have easily been able to hold that position or force out a restoration and then run after that. So those were his options here, but instead he just runs, and now he's stuck in his main base eating these herdables, getting himself husbandry, and he's going to eat every single one of those goats up at very low food before needing to move out onto that secondary position there. So we'll see what he's going to do. It looks like he's going for an armory here. It looks like he's going for a semi-fast heroic off of all of this. He's got his watchtowers up. Joe is playing this one very, very defensively as well, and I like this from Joe. There's 2 options here against a semi-fast heroic idea from the Norse player. Option number 1. Okay. There's 3 options. I kind of told a lie there. There's 3 options, and this is option number 3. And there's a reason why I don't particularly like option number 3, but we'll go into that afterwards. Option number 1 is you go full send with the army, and you just try and break through the opponent's base and kill their town center before the heroic age comes in. That's option number 1. Or alternatively, you just cause so much damage that even if the heroic age does come in, it's not that big of a deal. Great Minotaur special there. Option number 2 is to go for a semi-fast heroic. What does this do for Zeus? Well, it gives access to Hypaspis, gives access to Prodromus, and gives access to Hydra / Manticore / God powers, all the other good stuff. So you can then hit a potential gold starve on the secondary gold mine with the stronger Hypaspis and things like that. Option number 3 is what Joe's doing here, is just get a second town center. What this does is, 1, it gives him more population, but 2, it gives him more economy, so that even if he does end up losing his army on a frost kind of situation, he's going to be able to rebuild that army and continue to fight. So we'll see how things are going to go. As the army going to start pushing forward here and take out the gate. As the villagers here for Nullus going to finish up on this gold mine. And we'll see how it's all going to go. As the zebra finishing up here. And the wall does end up falling. Joe going to pull back away from this location. Scardy, hand axe. Joe doing what he needs to do here. And the other thing here is Joe's only got the 2 military buildings. And when building the town center, this is basically an extra military building because you have to be building the villages. But he probably should be thinking about throwing down an extra building or 2 as the game goes on. As we see Nullus now moving out onto his second gold mine. He's going to be dropping a hill fort out here. I hate the early hill forts by a semi-fast heroicing Odin against Zeus, because you get the hill fort up and then it just ends up getting killed. It's generally not a good idea. We'll see if Nullus is going to be able to hold here, or if Joe is going to be able to break through on this position, as the dwarves on the gold mine doing everything he needs to. But maybe Nullus is going to try and throw up a second hill fort straight away, which maybe is going to be enough for him to hold on here. You have to also remember that Joe has got himself restoration here, as we see him attempting, or as we see Nullus attempting to get some walls up surrounding this army. There is an escape path here underneath the hill fort, but we'll see if it's going to be working out, as maybe he doesn't even need to retreat at this point. It's 80 population to 108 as Joe, we also see that hoplite getting some good damage done onto that wall over here. Going to be actually able to take that one down, it seems, opening up a retreat path. Does Joe even want to retreat here or not? It does look like he is deciding to do so, as the Toxotes is kind of getting a little bit confused about how to get out of that location. There is another Toxotes does end up falling, and Joe is going to be pulling back for the time being, ready to go to that next age. He knows that once the hill fort is up, if you don't tear it down straight away, the Huskal are just way too difficult to deal with without a Paspis. So getting that heroic age in, which is what we're going to be seeing here very, very shortly, should be enough for him to start getting those Paspis out and dealing with them. Does he have an armory up yet? Looks like there is no armory anywhere, actually, for Joe. He does have another option, which is just try and fight straight away, because he's got double the villages. He does have double the economy, which means he can kind of take less than ideal fights, so to speak. But we'll see how things are going to go as the walls coming up over here. The Frost Giant wants to hit that Minotaur here as the Toxotes is getting taken down. Armory coming up. This is really, really good for Nullus to be able to pick off so many units here while being behind on the villager count by this much. But we'll see if he's going to get a town center at any point. We do see some units coming up to the top corner of the map, going to be looking to either grab that town center for himself, or just simply going for walls and raids and things like that. This is something I talk about quite a bit from the side of the Odin player. You've got this unit, the Skraeling, that one Ulfsark. His job throughout the entirety of the game is to build your houses and get your armory, right? He's the only one. You only need one unit to really be doing that throughout the entirety of the game. After that's done, the next thing you want to be doing with that Skraeling is not to bring it into your army, but to start throwing walls down all over the map. This is something that you can be doing consistently as the Norse player throughout the entirety of the game. Now, if the Skraeling ends up dying for whatever reason, you can always just use a Huskal, which is just as good. The Skraeling maybe a little... Wait, the Huskal is actually better because it moves at 5.0 speed. Obviously, Odin's got that Lone Wanderer upgrade, which would allow the speed to get around the map a little bit faster, but you want to just start getting those walls up straight away. In my opinion, I'm not actually 100% a Norse player, but I think that it's a really, really easy timing to have in the back of your mind, as we do see the restoration coming down from Joe. As Nullus trying to break through here. Heavy infantry coming in for Nullus. His army is looking incredibly strong on this position. The Toxotes trying to take out those heavy thrown axemen on the back here, as the Odysseus needs to clean up those Frost Giants here before the Hydra gets in, as the Minotaur ends up falling. Rhyme coming through as well. Joe is in a very, very bad position right now. He could throw down a fortress here. He could try and push up onto this gold mine, sack this location, pull up over... How much gold is here? Pull up over into this gold mine up here, put a fortress down there, for example. He needs to get some more military buildings down. He's pulling back here. He's losing a lot of what makes his army really, really strong, which is those infantry units. And these throwing axemen have just got a great position now moving forward in this game, as the Hydra getting targeted down by the Hearse. So the Toxotes is going to be able to take that one down relatively quickly here, as... Nullus needs to pull back. He is getting up this town center with a Huskal over here and a market to come down as well. Joe, at this point, he is sitting at full population here, so he might be able to find a fight here which he can win. If we take a look at the armory upgrades of Nullus, he's actually got no armory upgrades at the moment. Same too for Joe, as he does have himself access to bronze, which may or may not allow him to push through here. He's got a lot of Toxotes in these buildings as well, as the heavy infantry going to come through. Joe was waiting for that one, and we do see Nullus deciding in that moment not going to not going to engage here. Going to just retreat back. This is kind of the weakness of bronze, so to speak. Doesn't actually help you in any way other than controlling an area, and your opponent can always just simply put leave that area. And another thing that if you're chasing down like some ranged throw an axeman, you can just turn around and just take a fight when your units are chasing, get a lot of damage done, and kind of shoot and scoot micro, so to speak, in order to get some serious value done. As this Hypaspis getting some huge damage done, but Nullus here, he's getting his town centers up on both sides, just with one unit. Joe is on 3 town centers here. He's at 80 villages. He's got a lot of economy. He's in a great position right now. This is exactly what he needs here to find a win in this game. As we see him moving up onto this position, walls coming down now as well for him. We do see the walls coming up for Nullus, which I absolutely love. I love seeing that. Would have preferred to see a Huskarl doing it just because it's a little bit faster than the throwing axeman. But nonetheless, getting the walls up nice and early. Well, I say early, it's 15 minutes into the game, is going to be a very, very important thing. The other thing here is, especially on a map like Savannah or like Tundra, where there's lots of like random tree lines all through the map, is you want to be putting walls kind of in those positions as well. Like every single one of them, even if you've walled your opponent in, behind those walls, wall in the next choke point, and that's going to make your opponent's life really, really tough to put pressure onto you throughout the game, throughout later into the game. As the Frost Giants coming in, we do see the Huskarl still getting some good value here on the front. But the Hypaspis are dealing with them nicely. And it does look like Joe just not able to win these fights just yet. Needs to get himself out those Jason Heracles to be winning the fights here against those Frost Giants. But yeah, unfortunately not done that yet, as we do see walls coming up all over the place. Joe is setting up for a potential Ragnarok to come his way, which is going to be very, very tough to defend, considering all the gold mines are really, really far forward. One option here for Joe would be to start a trade route on the corner of the map here. That's going to give him even more of an opportunity to defend against a big Ragnarok. Or he can just simply try and go to the Mythic Age, utilize his Lightning Storm, and just go massive Hypaspis to try and defend that one as well. As Nullus here, ready to turn around, take this fight. Joe going to be pulling back here for the time being, and we'll see how things are going to go. As the Huskarl going to come through. You've really got to be careful with this position. I almost think that the best way to play when you have a Toxotes Huskarl, Toxotes Hypaspis army against the Huskarl Throw and Axeman army is to use box formation. Why? Because it means that no matter which way you angle your army, those Huskarl are not going to be able to sneaky engage onto you. As the archery range, going to get targeted down here as well. Fortress going up on this position for Joe to try and hold on here. He does choose to go through Hephaestus, which part of me likes, part of me doesn't like. Like, yes, you get the Plenty Vault. Yes, you get the cheaper armory upgrades. But a Lightning Storm in this position effectively guarantees that Joe stays alive in this game. And all you need to do effectively here is pick off an entire army of Nullus, and you're in a really, really good position. As the fortress is now up, there's not a whole lot of units here for Joe, and Nullus is feeling this here as he is pushing through with all of his might right now. And guess what? Lightning Storm hitting at this point would completely nullify this sort of an attack here from Nullus. But Joe here, he's only going to have that Hephaestus. He's only going to have that Plenty Vault. A Colossus is not going to be that much of assistance here. And the Fortress is immediately going to be getting taken out here. As Winter Harvest, Copper Mail, Fortified Town Centers coming in, the Plenty Vault gets dropped onto this position. And Nullus takes down the Fortress. We see some villages getting cleaned up here. And we'll see if Joe can hold in this position as the Jason gets taken out. We'll be seeing Joe retreating back, but Nullus is in a fantastic position now, catching up on the villages. He's nearly equal on the villages as well, and his economy is going to be absolutely fire right now because he really hasn't had to build that many units. He's been getting an incredible kill loss ratio here, kill-death ratio here in this game, and this is allowing his weaker economy to just prosper throughout. We see Forge of Olympus coming through for Joe, but he is really struggling here to get everything done. As the Bellerophon does come through, we'll be able to take out one Frost Giant, but you still have to be relatively careful with this Bellerophon because it costs so many resources. 400 gold, 6 favor. Basically, he needs to pick off 2 Frost Giants here for him to be value. And that might be easy, it might not be, as we do see him picking off one there with that big jump attack as the Frost Giant does hit that Colossus there nicely. But Nullus now going to be pulling back. We see a Hill Fort coming up on this position. The gold over here getting grabbed. We see some walls attempting to come up here from Joe as well. Joe started a trade route from the bottom corner over to here. Really, really nice trade route here. He could have gone for the other corner there and been completely fine, but just going from this bottom corner here, that's still a good trade route. That is still a very, very good trade route where that's concerned. And now Joe just needs to get himself the fortified town centers, and he's going to be in a great position as the Bellerophon snipes down one Frost Giant, going after another Frost Giant over here as well, keeping that one alive. There's no access to that Temple of Healing here for Joe, but we'll see if he can keep that Bellerophon alive and get some value here as Nullus' army not quite cutting it here at this point. What is he supposed to do? What is Nullus supposed to do now in this point? Like, get to the Mythic Age, drop a Thimble Winter down so you can take out the economy of Joe even more, so you can potentially get a kill here? I'm not 100% sure. The map is very, very defensive with those back town centers. So we'll have to wait and see as the Frost Giant gets taken out. Bellerophon going to be retreating back. And you have to say, at this point, this Bellerophon has more than paid for himself as he runs around, going to be able to jump in, get a huge amount of damage done onto that medium raider. They're still dodging those throwing axemen is absolutely huge. The only way to kill off a Bellerophon with range units is to get a raider to attack the Bellerophon and then get your throw and axeman onto it. So once the Bellerophon is snared, you're going to be in a good position where that's concerned. Joe now, Watchtowers, Plow coming through. He's still scared for a potential Ragnarok to come through as this tower attempting to come up here. If Joe micros this a little bit, he should be fine here, but it looks like the raiding cavalry are causing some problems here as Joe sends a couple more units over onto this position as the throw and axemen get taken out, and the tower over here going to get cleaned up as well. Joe's at 14 donkey caravans at this point as the villagers pushing forward to try and shank down this fort, Hill Fort as well. Love that play. I like the walls around this tower as well here from Nullus. A little bit cheeky on that one. Going to cause a little bit of problems there for Joe to take that out. There's nothing really over there at the moment as the Hill Fort gets shanked down. Still a little bit of gold left in this gold mine with 1336 where that's concerned. So the villagers can pull back in here and mine that gold mine there. As the Frost Giant coming back in onto this position. Joe still struggling to get himself that fortified town centers, and he's got a lot of population here in the economy, so he does not have the population he really needs here to be dealing with what Nullus is able to do. Nullus is getting himself more and more upgrades. He's getting himself more economy here. He's got 100 villages and 17 trade caravans. This Ragnarok is going to be absolutely gigantic in this game. Will Joe be able to defend it is the big question, or is he even going Balder? He is going Balder. So the Balder is coming through, and kind of the only reason that Joe is able to defend here so easily is because Nullus has gone for this huge Ragnarok idea here. And the other thing here is, like, what really Joe needs to do in order to defend this, get himself stone walls, which is coming through. Stone walls in this patch was put up by a little bit extra resources. I don't know exactly where Joe would have grabbed himself the upgrade there, but it's gone up to 300 food, 300 gold, up from 200 food, 200 gold. It was just considered to be too strong of a technology, and people were rushing it a little bit too fast. So it is a little bit more expensive for everyone. But still grabbing that one's going to be a big help. Fortified town centers coming through. All the upgrades are going to be in for Joe. And the only thing he really needs to be doing here at this moment, as we do see a villager attempting to get a market down maybe on this position, is get himself a ton of military buildings. He needs a ton of those military academies to build out Hypaspis. I keep saying Huskal and Hephaestus, why'd they have to start with H? Why? I don't know. The Colossus pushing forward here, going to try and take out these units as well. We'll see how that's all going to go. As the Colossus comes in, going to start taking down those Stroan Axemen. And Balder just about to come through for Nullus. He's at 1,000 food, 2,500 gold, tons of resources where that's concerned as the Frost Giant comes in, hits the Colossus. There's the Ragnarok. We've got a 381 population Ragnarok. No wonder, no Titan Gate behind this. And Joe immediately says, all right, time to pull back home. No worries. Iron weapons, iron mail coming through. How are the upgrades looking for Nullus? Nullus is full bronze here. He could get himself bronze mail, could get himself iron mail, could get himself iron weapons, could get himself iron shields at this point, but he's deciding to hold those resources for a potential boom back up afterwards as the Rag Hero is coming up seeing the triple chemo walls. Not only triple chemo walls, but there's also more walls back here as well that Joe can build on that position, as on this position we do see an opening here into the base of Joe. We'll see if Joe's going to try and build even more walls onto this position. Is the army going to be pulling back here? The swarm of Ragnarok heroes coming in onto this position as well as Joe pulling back in over here. We see another fortress coming up. The Hephaestus are all queued up. The one thing that he's missing at the moment is a Bellerophon to take out that lone fire giant. That's the difficult thing. It does way too much damage for you to not focus that one down. Great defense here from Joe as well. We see Nullus getting himself iron mail at this point. He's actually spent all of his resources getting himself carpenter's quarry as well. I don't know if I like using the resources where that's concerned, because that's a lot of potential villages he could have built anyways. He does still have 22 ox caravans nonetheless there. As the army pulling back yet again, we see another little bit of walls coming through here. Joe is one of the best defenders in the game. If anyone can do it, Joe can here, as the army of Nullus slowly getting pushed down in the numbers. As over here we see the walls getting broken down. The Rag Heroes will be able to break through on this position. They're breaking through over here as well, as Iron Shields now coming through for Nullus, as the Heracles is out, the Jason is out, the Odysseus is out, but that Frost Giant is still sitting at full population. It seems like, however, that Joe might be able to hold here. He has lost a house. We'll need to rebuild that one relatively quickly. The fortresses and the watchtowers are doing a lot of damage here onto this army as Joe gets his house back up. The Bellerophon is in now, though, and this is going to spell doom for that fire giant, most likely, as the units coming through over here. We see a hill fort coming up, a fortress coming through here, another wall up on this position. Joe knows how important this position is because that's where his trade route is. He could put a market up over here and trade back to this town center if things get a bit awkward over there, or alternatively into this corner as well to trade to his main town center, as the fire giant did get sniped there. The Rag Heroes on this position are getting cleaned up nicely. And it looks like, well, Nullus is still at 224 population here. He's still got a lot of room for Ragnarocking moving forward here in this one, as the Rag Hero is getting taken down over here. We see a Heliopolis queued up. I'm not sure that Joe needs that one at this point. In this position, we do see the Bellerophon getting sniped down as Joe is slowly slipping here in terms of his population, but there's really not that many Rag Heroes over here anymore, as it seems like they're all going to be getting taken out as the Rag Hero is pushing through over here. Nullus is now starting his villager repopulation efforts here. He's got the villagers onto the farms here, onto this position. Fire Giant's going to be coming through as well. He can buy food quite easily if he needs to, as the Heliopolis getting pulled back did manage to build that one, but the Hill Fort going to get taken down. The building's going to get taken down as well. One thing that Nullus hasn't done just yet, which I think he absolutely needs to do, is get those walls set up so that he's not going to get any raids, as he's going to be getting counter-attacked after this Rag has been removed, as we do see the Hill Fort getting taken down. The market at the top going to be getting taken out as well. Nullus has dropped down to 111 population here, as the Hephaestus need to move up onto this position to take these units out, and we'll see how things are going to go, as the Rag Heroes going to get pushed back here as well. And Joe pulls up here. We'll see what's going to happen. Is Bellerophon going to join into this army? We see the market does get taken down. Joe at the moment doesn't actually have the wood to rebuild that market. Did not play around that one very well. So he will have a lot of idle donkey caravans. As always, the best way to kind of restart your trade route is to take every single idle caravan you have and send it back up into the corner. Alternatively, a marker down the bottom corner here would not go astray here for Joe either, as Joe's managed to hold. He's got 44 villages here, 31 donkey caravans, plenty of economy here for him to move forward. Nullus, on the other hand, here, trying to build the dwarves onto the gold into the middle of the map because he doesn't have any food, is part of the problem where he went for carpenters and quarry for some reason, even though he's already got 27 ox caravans. Let's just take a quick look at the rate at which these guys are moving. It's only 43 gold for some reason. I'm not sure what's happening where that's concerned. It should be moving to this market, not the other one. I don't understand. Anyways, the market is back up here for Joe. Joe is held, and now he gets to move in to the offensive. Did Nullus do enough damage here? My gut feeling is not really, but Nullus has now got himself Fire Giant Ballista. He doesn't have the walls up for it yet, but he does have the Fire Giant Ballista combination, which is generally pretty good against Greek, but against Zeus does have Bellerophon, which kind of shuts it down. So you have to be very, very careful against that Bellerophon where that's concerned. As Joe pushes his army in here, those fire giants do so much damage here as he just gets caught out of position. That is exactly what Nullus needed here to slow Joe's expansion out into this game, as the Bellerophon going to come back in here. If he gets a jump onto the fire giant, that's absolutely huge. Does manage to do so. Basically half HPing, and then can finish that one off after all is said and done. Dead, one down, needs another 3 to go. It takes, what, 10 seconds, 20 seconds? Recharge time, 15 seconds to get that Bellerophon jump in onto the next fire giant. As the heroes are able to get onto those fire giants over there, Bellerophon unfortunately misses his jump attack. If the unit is moving away from the way that the Bellerophon is jumping in, he will miss that one. It's intentional design implementation from Ensemble Studios to add a little bit of counterplay to this Bellerophon. And we'll see how things are going to go. As the medium raiders getting taken out, we will see the ballista getting cleaned up over there as well, as the Bellerophon sneaking around onto this position. The fire giant getting taken out as well. Bellerophon going to come through onto this location to try and take out those fire giant to boot here. But it looks like he just wants to keep it alive for the time being. As Nullus here, he's already up to 45 villages. He's got plenty of economy going now. I reckon he could probably even stop villager production here if he really wants to. But oftentimes, Norse players, they don't realize exactly the correct amount of economy you need in the late game. And the correct amount of economy is somewhere in between 20 to 30 decent ox caravans and somewhere between 30 to 50 villages. That's somewhere, but that's something what he needs. At the moment here, Nullus, Burning Pitch coming through. He's still got some technologies to grab, it seems. Where'd the heroes go? He's got a whole bunch of idle heroes over here that need to get in and start taking down these units. Does he have himself Olympic parentage? No Olympic parentage in for Joe, but he is going to be grabbing it. If he can keep the Bellerophon alive here, he will get that extra HP, and he does indeed manage to do so. That's kind of a niche little bonus there that that Zeus has, boosting the HP up of his heroes. As the unit's pushing through here, the Heliopoli are actually really, really good against these Ballista because they deal crush damage and pierce damage, and the Ballista has only got 80% pierce armor and 89% crush armor, so it actually takes it down quite quickly there as the Bellerophon retreats back yet again. It does look like the raiding cavalry will be able to take that one down. If Nullus wants to actually chase this Bellerophon easier, he can get himself Thundering Hooves onto those medium raiders, and that will allow him to actually chase that Bellerophon and actually kill it off much more consistently there, rather than it having that kind of Amun-Ra-esque micro happening where that's concerned. As the Colossus coming through, this is a really, really smart counter to the Ballista. This is something that I think, yeah, is really, really good here. You can actually run that one in. Colossus does 50 crush damage. We already talked about this. The Ballista, 89% crush armor rather than that standard 99%. Means he's getting a lot more damage done onto those Ballista. Plus, he's already doing 20 hack damage. So he basically 2 hits the ballista after all is said and done, but the Colossus does end up getting taken out here. Joe's struggling to build units here as another Bellerophon does end up coming through. Going to be able to push Nullus back here as the Frost Giant does get taken out. What is Nullus doing? He's chopping the gold down. We do see a cheeky Ulfsark. A couple of Ulfsark actually going to be sneaking through here as he knows getting a little bit of a wall set up over here is going to be a big, big deal. Every little bit of side build is really good, but again, the thing that Nullus hasn't done, and this is a huge weakness here for Nullus, and this is the easiest way to beat a Norse player in the late game, is to send some villagers down here and get set up on this position here to take out the town center of the Norse player. There is nothing the Norse player can do if that gets set up, but you can stop it from being set up by getting those walls put up early as an idea. So if we'll see if this is Joe's idea. He is putting walls up down the bottom of the map here, slowly starting to move out here. We see the Bellerophon coming through here as well. Going to be able to take out those Frost Giants. Does manage to jump over and take out a Ballista as well here. As the Hypaspis going to take out those Thrown Axemen and everything else they possibly can. As the Bellerophon pulling back for the time being. So the Frost Giants getting taken down over here as well. Heliopoli coming in onto this position to take down the hill fort here, and we'll see how things are going to go here for Nullus, as it seems to me like Nullus is just slowly but surely falling to the power that is late game Zeus. He's gotten himself the champion infantry coming out here. We see engineers coming through, fortified walls also coming up for Joe. Joe still just needs to send these villagers forward, put up a fortress in this dead space here, and life is going to be really, really tough. I love the usage of the Frost Giant to deal with Heliopoli. It's really, really good, but just not quite enough on that one after all is said and done. Joe's still sitting at full population here. He's got way too many villagers at this moment on his economy. This is a standard mistake. What is Nullus's trade route? Nullus has got 50 ox caravans in this game. 50 ox caravans in this game. That's insane. Walls coming up over here for Joe. Needs to drop the gate here and push forward. We do see that this champion Thrown Axeman is coming through as Joe's slowly starting to do this. And look, Nullus, he's worked this one out that he needs to get these walls up. But did he work it out too slow? Answer: Ulfsark will see the military academy coming up. He might be able to stop that one from coming through here. And we'll see what Joe's plan is over here as we see the units coming in. The Ulfsark's trying to sneak through these chemo walls. There's watchtowers or guard towers up already on that position as the Paspis are started up. The villagers going to be getting dragged away from this location. Joe is getting set up on that position as we do see the Ulfjarls coming through trying to deal with these Colossus, but just seems to me like it's not going to be able to be done where that's concerned, as the champion Thrown Axeman getting taken out. Shoulder of Talos coming through here. Heavy cavalry, draft horses, tax collectors also coming through for Nullus. I'm not exactly sure what tax collectors does. Let me have a quick look at that one. Where's the market? Tax collectors here. Ambassadors removes the tribute penalty. So he's going to be able to trade a little bit better where that's concerned, as the Paspis is going to come out on this position here. Another military academy coming in, but Joe could just grab a handful of villagers yet again and just send them down onto this position, as the middle of the map here is now getting targeted down. There's going to be a lot of weak points here for Nullus moving through this game here, as the Hypaspis also, they do win these fights as well. But if he could pop out 3 Hypaspis at once, that'd be really, really big. But more units are getting pushed down into there. Joe can also start claiming the center of this map, as we do see a cheeky Huskarl Thrown Axeman idea coming through here. There is no gap in this wall, but he wants to get in here and drop this hill fort down. Going to attempt to break down this location here. Just putting up his own hill fort here would not go astray, in all honesty. As the late game of Joe, we'll see if he's got this Zeus idea in here. Obviously, one of the best Egyptian players in the world here, but with Greek, the late game slightly different, very, very similar though. So he should be able to work this one out. Generally speaking, just getting yourself set up, and we do see the Frost Giants coming out of the temple to deal with these gold Colossus trying to take this location out. Nullus does lose a house somewhere along the lines here. 2 houses actually going down in an effort to prevent that Frost Giant from actually popping out here. We'll see if it's going to come out with the house getting up, and it does manage to do so, as he's going to come over, frost one of those, and then probably start bashing down the other one here would be the idea. But the town center looks like if he doesn't get another Frost Giant out here. Probably going to go down. One Ursa is not going to be enough where that's concerned, as the Fortress does get denied in the main base here. Architects is coming through here. Will it come in time, though, is the big question, as some Ulfsarks get converted, as another Colossus moving forward here for Nullus to take out this town center. The Architects does manage to come through, but is that going to be enough? It's just going to be a slight boost to HP and armor, and it's not going to be enough, as Nullus loses his main town center here, and that is going to be the end of Nullus's town center, 160 population town center days here. Meanwhile, we see the Hypaspis Hoplites targeting down this town center over here, as well as Secrets of the Titans coming through for Nullus. Joe could have gone Secrets of the Titans ages ago, which is obviously another really, really simple way for Greek to beat Norse in the late game, which is why I thought when Nullus went Ragnarok, he probably should have gone for the Titan as well, but did not go for Weapons of the Titans coming through. Bacchanalia coming through as well for Joe to help out his units' HP even more, as the Hoplites getting dealt with over here by those Thrown Axemen. Nullus here still desperately trying to hold on this position, but really Joe just needs to send villagers forward here and get some buildings set up, as the town center going to attempt to get put up on this position as well. Joe here, he's now starting to push forward. He's got the units out. The Hypaspis are going to be able to deny this town center for a very, very long time, as over here we see some walls set up on this position, as Joe has managed to get into this corner here, throwing up a fortress very, very slowly with just the one villager. Sometimes that's all it takes to get up a ridiculously strong attack on your opponent. And after all is said and done here, it looks to me like Nullus is not going to be able to hold on this position. Hunter's Axe still not in for Nullus. What is happening in this game? Watchtower's coming up here for Nullus to try and defend. When you don't have population, the best way to defend is going to be towers. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do that, as Joe now getting his own Secret of the Titans through to ensure that he can deal with his opponents. But more than that, like, obviously, once the Titan Gate is thrown down for Nullus, life is very tough. That being said, what Nullus can do is he can convert every single one of his villages into infantry units. He can put a bunch onto the Titan Gate and just let his resources deplete over that time, and then repopulate his villages as that goes on, as an idea. Because he's got a lot of resources in the bank. So this is another way to kind of deal with this, as Joe is consistently trying to hit this location. But little does Nullus know, while this is going on, the fortress is going to come out over here, and that's going to mean Petropoli on that bottom position, which is going to be very, very tough to deal with, as the tower's trying to come up here for Nullus. We see the Titan Gate getting cast down on this position, but I don't see any way that he's going to be able to get that one up here, as he does start it with just a handful of Ulfsark here at 100 HP. You can kind of deny that one immediately, as well as the Heliopoli are going to start coming through to deal with those buildings as well. Joe still, he's only playing with at the moment, what is this, 80 plus 30, 120. He's only playing with 40 population here for the army. That's like 20 units. There's really not a lot of units here. And Nullus, on the other hand here, I mean, he's probably playing with roughly the same amount of population as well, as the Titan Gate is now available for Joe. But where do you put it? Part of me feels like you put it up in the center of the map here, or something, just to get it into your opponent's base a little bit faster, as the army now pushing back in onto this location. The watchtowers are all up here in the middle, but it looks like Joe going to be just sacrificing his units. He doesn't really need to mind about losing his units here, because he's got so many resources that it doesn't exactly matter. As the town center gets denied yet again, we see some Petropoli coming out over here. This is population that I don't think Joe can waste sitting in a fortress there, as a wonder gets started on the back corner of the map there for Nullus. As Nullus has just got so much economy here in this game. Joe could also put a wonder down here, mind you, as the Titan Gate gets dropped down for Joe, and we'll see if Joe can ever work this one out, as one Petropolis up. I mean, just start attacking the town center, kill off these watchtowers, get the walls up, would be a great idea. Town center does manage to get back up for Nullus. Incredibly good defense here from Nullus, but you have to ask the question, what is Joe thinking with having this much economy at this point in the game? As the Titan Gate going to slowly but surely come up here as well. Joe going to be just focusing on his own Titan. I'm pretty sure if he does that, then Nullus is going to get his own Titan Gate out, as we do see the hoplites coming through over here, taking this town center down. It's going to spell a very, very difficult time for Nullus in this one, because this means no trade route, or no decent trade route at the very least there for Nullus moving forward. He's only got 300 gold in the bank at the moment. He's only got 9 villagers, gatherers out here as well. He can buy food if he really wants to. He can buy wood, and that's what the players are kind of doing, or at least that's what Nullus is doing here in this game, as he does spot the Titan Gate over here with the units building this one up. Hill Fort coming up, but the Petropoli going to be able to take the town center down nonetheless on that position, as in the center of the map he's throwing axemen. They're not long for this world here underneath this many guard towers, this many fortresses, but he's going to try and make that push happen nonetheless. There's no effort to attack anywhere else. Joe is fully walled up on the map as well, so there's no way for Nullus to get any cheeky side builds at this point either. So Joe has controlled this game really nicely, as the Myrmidon now coming through to take the town center down. Double Petropoli out here as well, as the units here coming through to try and repair the town center up, but Nullus here looks like it's going to be going down here by those Petropoli on the back. No walls around this. You can actually take those down if he wants to. The Frost Giant can also come through and hit that one as well, as the town center does end up falling here. Good play from Joe. Going to send all his units down to the bottom side of the map. We do see the Wonder coming up here. Will a Norse Wonder be able to hold against a late game Zeus at 43 minutes into the game? I don't even know if he's going to be able to get that Wonder up, let alone hold it for 10 minutes. We'll have to wait and see. The Titan Gate coming through here, just about to be finished up for Joe, as he's going to be able to send that one through. We see the units having to pull off the Titan Gate for Nullus as well, as the Hill Fort is going to get cleaned up here, because guess what? If Joe gets to this Titan Gate with his own units, that's going to put a stop to the Titan as well, and Nullus is not going to be able to make that one work in the slightest, as the Petropolis coming forward going to be able to take down this Hill Fort. An attempt at a ballast to getting built there is not going to be working here. Nullus with 9 champion Ulfsark on this position. That is 18 population where that's concerned. He's got a little bit of gold in the bank, starting the trade route up here again, and now the Colossus making its way over onto the Titan Gate. The villagers here back to work. I mean, he really doesn't need food economy. Just send the villagers forward or delete them here, in my opinion, as the house gets taken out, and the Colossus, he knows he's got all the time in the world as he starts wandering forward here to start taking this Titan Gate down. And in that moment, Nullus does decide to tap out here in this game. Joe finds the win here against Nullus's Odin in the late game. An incredibly well played game by both parties here. I think Nullus's kind of mistake here in this game was to not go for Rag Titan. If he went for Rag Titan, this would have meant that his Titan could have pushed in and really preoccupied Joe while he was rebuilding himself up. That being said, Nullus kind of rebuilt himself up completely fine, but there was just too many weaknesses in the map for him to kind of get sorted out here. Joe, on the other hand, he defended himself absolutely beautifully here. Walls all over the place. Incredibly well played game here from him, showing how good Zeus can be against Norse. And I think this one is a game to really study, analyze, and learn from, because Joe shows that this second town center play, delayed second town center play, when you kind of realize what the Norse player is doing, when you kind of read the Norse player like a book, a really, really good way to play, especially with the back town centers to boot. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next game.